Today, I want to talk about how a billionaire has just been jailed for market manipulation, not as a result of stealing from retail investors to enrich his hedge fund buddies, but as a result of stealing from the rich to give to the poor. So stay tuned and let's make some money. I also wanted to start with another testimonial, but just one so I don't take up too much time. Raddy said as a result of the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group, he hasn't taken a losing trade in 2 weeks or about 17 trades. He started with just $250 and he's now up to $1,300 as a result of compounding small, consistent gains. And now to dive straight in with the key information. So, Frank tweeted saying billionaire Joe Lewis pled guilty to insider trading. It says Joe Lewis, the UK billionaire whose family trust owns Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, has pled guilty to insider trading in a US court. Lewis was accused of passing on information about his companies to his private pilots, friends, personal assistants, and romantic partners. US authorities say the fraud netted millions of dollars in profit. Lewis pled guilty to conspiracy and 2 counts of securities fraud as part of a deal with the prosecutors. Now, the reason Joe Lewis is really in prison is because between 2013 and 2021, he abused his access to corporate boardrooms and passed the insider information onto his contacts. Those contacts made millions of dollars in sure thing bets on the stock market, obviously often against hedge funds and other institutions. Because if somebody, a retail investor, is making money on one side of the trade, somebody else, a hedge fund or institution, has to be losing money on the other side. The reason why Lewis was really caught wasn't because he was stealing from the poor to give to the rich, it's because he was stealing from the rich to help the poor. Slightly off topic, but still on topic, I recently watched the Bitcoin documentary about how one individual stole millions of dollars from regular everyday Americans and retail investors and just received 0 prison time. Also, didn't have to pay back a penny of those illegal funds because they were all hidden offshore. I think it really goes to show that if you steal from regular everyday people, you won't face punishment in the United States. But if it's the other way round, you're going to prison for a long time. A US attorney also added saying the plea deal includes the largest financial penalty for insider trading in a decade. Joe Lewis's company will pay more than $50 million in financial penalties, all as a result of stealing from hedge funds and institutions and giving to his personal assistants. Even though his insider trading only made a few $1 million of profits, he's having to pay a penalty multiple times the size of those illegal profits. Which seems so backwards considering hedge funds, banks and institutions in the United States make billions of dollars in illegal profits and simply pay fines of a few $1 million, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars on occasions. So instead of making tiny amounts of money and paying massive penalties, they're making massive amounts of money and paying tiny penalties. As a prime example, Interactive Brokers a few years ago were caught and faced a fine for naked short selling. As Kristen added, she said, why would Interactive Brokers continue naked shorting after getting caught a few years ago? Surely that wouldn't make sense, unless the regulators just hand out tiny fines to those institutions. Interactive Brokers failed to close out of more than 2,300 individual failed to deliver trades and accepted and executed short orders in those same securities without first borrowing the security about 28,000 different times. Interactive Brokers also permitted the execution or display of more than 4,700 short sale orders in covered securities at a price less than or equal to the current national best bid. And as a result of illegally shorting stocks 28,000 times, all they had to do was pay a teeny tiny fine. As Crystal Ball tweeted, he said Gary Gensler's main objective is to help out the hedge funds and to try and prevent those hedge funds from being squeezed. He said that's why Gary Gensler doesn't enforce naked shorting, spoofing, dark pool, order routing, stock bashing, or anything else. Now, I do think Hester Peirce would do an even worse job, but I also don't think Gary Gensler has really done much or anything at all over the last 3 years. Really, the entire SEC needs a complete overhaul to actually tackle proper financial crime. Also guys, if you didn't already know, in the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group, we don't just trade small, fast-moving stocks, we also trade options in big companies like AMD too. Today we held AMD call options overnight and Chad made 151%, or made $4,100 in just one singular day. Whittledog this morning also closed his AMD and Nvidia call options for almost 100% each, and Casey alone also closed his AMD calls for 100% gains too. Today we did also have a small fast-moving trade today on GETR, where JetDoc also locked in around 60% gains. So guys, be sure to join the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group using the link in the description below, and also remember the 100% guaranteed refund policy. If you don't make a single profitable trade in 30 days, there's a 100% guaranteed refund. As a prime example, Kristen has also tweeted about the convicted bank manager in China who's just been sentenced to life in prison. Now that is someone that tackles financial crime properly. The South China Morning Post reported he also had to give up all of his illegal gains and even personal assets too. Many banking officials and executives have been caught up in the crackdown. According to statements from the court, Zhu and 2 other former Bank of China employees took advantage of loopholes in the lender's fund management system to obtain false loans. Now, even though this isn't specifically to do with synthetic shorting in China, clearly that is a country that's doing the right thing and putting bank managers and bank officials away for life in prison. Although, speaking of China, Chinese regulators have just asked hedge funds to restrict short selling of stock index futures as well. So China recently banned short selling outright to try and crack down on illegal shorting and to try and stem the stock market crash. So they've just banned shorting in stocks, and now they're also going to ban the short selling of index futures as well. So they're banning the short selling of stocks and options and futures as well to try and cancel out short selling outright. It says a hedge fund manager said he received calls from China's financial futures exchange, cautioning against reckless short selling, especially naked short selling conducted not for hedging purposes. Another hedge fund source said the exchange had informally asked his fund recently not to short sell for speculative purposes. Now this is because the Chinese stock market is currently back to 2010 prices and has suffered a massive crash over the last couple of years, at the moment down around 50%. So as a result, they're banning short selling outright in stocks and banning the short selling of futures and options too. That's obviously to try and stem the outflow from the market and to try and encourage the market to recover. And Kristen also added saying, look what happened now that China has restricted short selling. So this article says that Chinese equities recorded their most robust performance on Wednesday in several months, buoyed by Beijing's commitment to inject financial stimulus into the weakened economy and implement regulations designed to restrict short selling of the nation's entities. So over the next few weeks, we're likely going to see many short sellers end up being squeezed in Chinese stocks like Baba, Baidu, EWH and many others. So again, it's also clear as day to see that when short selling is banned, like it was done in South Korea and now China, we see a massive rally in the stock market for proper price discovery. And that is exactly what would happen with AMC should short selling be banned in the future. The banning of US short selling, or even just specifically the banning of dark pools and illegal short selling in the US, is something I think should really happen for fair market transparency, fair market operation and fair price discovery. But obviously with the SEC's main interest being to help hedge funds, I don't have a lot of confidence that that will currently be implemented. And that's likely why Finra also won't release the certified aggregated audited share counts for MMTLP, because they need to be on the side of those hedge funds and institutions. So John Berda said the last time we asked Finra for the audited share count, they said they had no methodology of doing so, which is kind of rich because Finra is in charge of regulating all the broker-dealers who have the share counts. Saying it'd take about 1 day for Finra to get that share count information, they just don't want to provide the data. And usually when someone or something doesn't want to provide something, it's because they're guilty and they know they've done wrong. They know providing a share count to MMTLP would expose the massive amount of crime that's currently going on, not just in MMTLP, but obviously in other stocks like AMC, GameStop and many others. So guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always guys, be sure to ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.